Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joji Movie So Awesome. I'm Joe.
I'm Won-Jin.
Today we're going to talk about Barry's finale, season 4, and the whole series. Spoilers for the whole show ahead and the finale. You have been warned. Here we go. Listen, this has been a great ride. And, you know, I can't help but think about the Coen Brothers, you know, and their influence. You know, we've had a lot of anti-hero shows. But I gotta say, Barry is the most ambitious in the fact that it wants to make a commentary on a lot of things.
Yeah.
You know, and the movie's ending being about Barry's movie, I think, you know, it's such a criticism, like, against, like, Hollywood, I think. You know, and how we mold our truths. But I mentioned the Coen Brothers because, you know, throughout Coen Brothers' like whole movies, there is a morality to, like, something.
Yeah, that's true. And take Fargo for example. We see how all these series of bad decisions accumulate into tragedy,
and the universe has sort of a justice going on. And this finale, I felt was all about. I mean, it's a dark morality, though, because it's not necessarily, like, you're not necessarily punished for being a good person or a bad person. These things are, I think, it has its own rules. But one rule, I think, from this finale is whether you can be honest with yourself. If you're honest with yourself, you will be set free. That's how I felt about Fuches.
Oh,
that's how I felt about Sally.
And Sally.
And that's how I felt about Barry too. But you know what the funny thing is? Barry, even though he admitted it, his crimes are so heinous that all he deserves is a fucking headshot. So that's how I interpreted it. I felt like Barry, you know, because he has that tender moment, like, yeah, you know what? I'll turn myself in.
Yeah, but I think it's a little too late for that.
Yeah, we've getting a lot of teasers on, like, all the people he killed. You know, because, like, if you think about it, like, Barry is the most heinous character out of all of them.
That's true.
You know, because Tony Soprano taught us a lesson, you know, like, that I think season 6 was trying to tell us, like, just because you like this guy doesn't mean he's a good guy, man. Like, you know what I mean? And here, like, Barry definitely gets sort of a half of a reckoning because he doesn't get what he wants, though.
Yeah.
I feel. No, but, okay, maybe he does, because, like, his wish was basically for John to live a pious life and be healthy, but the ending, I guess, kind of suggests that he does get what he wants. So maybe I'm a little bit wrong on the morality thing. You know?
Now, the most interesting character for me in this episode was Gene Cousineau.
Oh.
Because we saw in the last episode, he fell into this, like, a trap that Jim... What's his name?
Jim Moss.
Oh, Moss, that's right.
Detective Moss.
Detective Moss set up. And then I was wondering what kind of decision that he would make. But the decision that he made in the last episode didn't make much sense at all to me.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, because, I mean, there's really nothing much he can get out of what he did. So it's he could have used the opportunity of having Barry there. And since Barry was ready to turn himself in, he could have cleared his name out of all this mess. But instead, what he chooses to do is shoot Barry in the head.
No, but, like,
and I agree with you. He will probably spend the rest of his life in jail forever.
No, that's what the show tells us at the movie credit. But I felt like that's because, like, his hate for Barry just, like,
overpowered.
You know, because, like, this season, Fuches is a great example. Because Fuches is given, like, 2 to 3 times to live peacefully in, like, a agricultural land.
Oh, that's right.
But his hate and his need for Barry to validate him as a good person or whatever, like, keeps bringing Fuches back darker.
Yeah.
And I felt like the irony was, like, Fuches and Gene have something in common, is that they're both father figures for Barry. But the weird thing is, Barry tries to run away from Fuches, but Fuches is the one at the end that, you know, liberates Barry and give him John. But this Gene Cousineau, this new father figure that he's been asking for validation for 4 seasons, is the one that kills him. So I thought there was a weird irony because...
that's an excellent point.
Because it's like, think about it. Like, the whole series has shown us from the very first season that Fuches is a bad influence.
Yeah.
But
so he chooses Gene.
Yeah, because he keeps going to Gene because he wants to change. And, you know, he says it explicitly in episode 1 that, you know, don't you love me? You know? But the weird thing about this show is, like, nothing goes according to plan. Just like in Coen Brothers.
Yeah.
You know, like, just like in Fargo, this crime was supposed
Things
to be perfect.
go horribly wrong.
But I thought the irony was done really well where, you know, Fuchs does have a self-realization, though. Because remember, his standoff with NoHo Hank was interesting. That it's NoHo Hank who can't admit the truth.
Yeah, that was an intense moment. And I was hoping that he would embrace what he really is, but in the end, he refuses.
Yeah, because he did, and then he retracts. He says, "You are a liar," and you know,
because I mean, he broke down, but then he somehow, I don't know what he does with his mind, but he somehow like clenches everything together, and then he
denies it.
Yeah, he denies his involvement in the death of Cristobal.
I thought the camera work was good because he holds Cristobal's hand, right? But Cristobal doesn't look back at him. Like, you know, he clings on to it, but Cristobal eyes is away, and Cristobal isn't even looking at him.
Oh, that's also true.
I felt like that was a parallel to like episode 5.
I think it's 6. Like a symbolism.
Yeah, before the time jump. But Fuchs, he says straight out, you know, I imagine myself a soldier when I never been to war. I'm a fucking bad person. And you know what? It's not that this action is going to redeem me, but at least I want to do something right. And then he protects John.
And before that, he gives NoHo Hank a chance to admit all this.
Yeah.
But instead, he chooses to have a shootout. And I was also surprised by the fact that the first action that Fuchs shows us is covering John to make sure that he's safe from all those gunshots.
A little funny joke for me was, after he delivers Barry John, he goes to the shadows like a raven. He
disappears into the shadows.
Yeah, he's one with the dark. I thought that was funny. He really became this. I guess Raven is a personality that he made, but that truly reflects himself. You know what's so funny though? Every other character tried that and they all failed. I guess Sally comes close, I guess, because she does get I think Sally's like confession to John that Barry's a murderer and I'm not a good person kind of saved her.
And she even tells him that she herself is a murderer.
Yeah, and once she says those truths, like you can tell that she loves John a little, like because prior episode showed her as like a terrible mother, but here once she realizes who she is. Like she's worried about John during the shootout, and even afterwards in that hotel scene, I thought that was really powerful when Sally told Barry, "You need to turn yourself in," and you know, you can tell that she's not really thinking about herself because you know after the next morning, Barry, like John is gone with her. I think she's really thinking about like John. Like Barry influencing John in that bad way, just like she was trapped by Barry. So I thought Sally, despite not being a perfect person throughout the series, sort of liberated herself. And let's be honest, Barry was like before her boyfriend, the abusive one. It's not like Barry was any better too.
Yeah.
So I felt like Sally had a kind of a redemption there, even though. Like the ending scene when she asks, like, John, was it good? I felt like here's someone who will never be fully validated, but is trying to live as best as possible.
Yeah, with what she has.
Yeah,
because remember she used to produce like these big shows. Now she's in like producing these plays in school, but at least it's what she loves.
You're right.
Yeah.
Like hers is a Pyrrhic victory, in that like I feel like Does she get everything she wants? No, but at least she's alive and content.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know...
Oh, and we gotta mention the exchange she had with that other teacher.
Yeah.
Who kind of asked her out for a date, and she just, like, ponders... Well, she pretends that she's pondering through this,
how did you
and she
interpret
just
that?
says
I
no.
interpreted it as, like, she's been through so much abusive relationship that she's sort of distrustful.
I think she's basically traumatized.
Yeah, you think so, right?
Yeah, with her relationship with men in general. So I don't think she will ever have a relationship with another man.
Yeah. I mean, like, the last 15 minutes of this, like, finale was really ambiguous for me. Like, I watched it 2 times. Like, I couldn't tell if Sally wanted validation. Like, the way she looked at the flower, remember, in the car? And it's like it's almost like a 7-second scene of, like, silence. You know, you wonder what she's really thinking about. But her face is neither happy or sad. But the best part of the finale was, of course, the fucking movie.
Ah, yes.
I'm Jim Cousineau. like they Hollywooded the shit out of it. That shit was hilarious. Like, what'd you think about the movie? Like, the complete retelling?
I thought it was I thought it was pretty hilarious, and I also believe that I gotta say the actors who were in that movie did a pretty good job
Yeah,
of
Jim
portraying
Cousineau
this.
was evil as fuck, like a Russian like scientist, the way we're used to. And after watching it 2 times, I kind of noticed how, like, you know, the saddest character, one of the saddest characters, I think, Detective Moss, because her father didn't want her daughter to be a commodity, but the movie's made anyway.
Yeah.
And I felt like Gene shooting Barry kind of did that.
And also, after watching that movie part in the last part of the episode, I also kind of got myself reminded of the fact that all these tragedies and all these events, we imagine that they're done by these, like, extreme, like, villainous people, but in fact, in reality, it's so mundane.
Right, that's
And
good
banal. Yeah. When you look at the real Gene Cousineau, nobody would suspect that he's capable of, like, all
running a drug empire.
Yeah, those kind of things. And also, it applies to Barry as well.
Yeah. No, but I felt like the movie was also like a callback to, like, because up to season 2 and even 3, like, Barry being part of a theater is an important, like, driver of the story, right? So it is, like, I think, a commentary on Hollywood and theater, and, like, about storytelling, right? Because when we watch the movie, we know that as mundane as it is, like, I felt like the movie doesn't do justice to what really went on.
Yeah.
All the nuances, all the small details. Because, like, Fuches and Barry's beef is one of the most interesting things throughout the series. Because those guys are petty as fuck. We saw multiple times where it could have been a handshake.
That's right. And they just...
Their ego doesn't allow it. And that's another theme of this whole series, too. I think ego about... Because... letting your pride and ego get in the way of actual self-knowledge and reconciliation. And I think Sally kind of denied it for a long time too, that, you know, Barry is a good person, etc. And, like, she handled it really badly. But what's sad, like, back to Detective Moss, I felt sorry for him. Not only did he catch the wrong person, his daughter is still being made in a movie, and he's gonna think that he got what he wanted. Is that justice, though? I feel like that's another sad part of.
And another thing I was thinking about after watching the entire series is, you know, remember when Barry has those dreams where he's on that beach and he sees all those people he killed, and basically we get the feeling that that place is kind of like hell.
Purgatory.
Yeah,
maybe.
Purgatory, maybe. And we see Gene Cousineau, and we also see Sally. So I was wondering, would they still be there?
Oh, that's
and
a good
Gene
point.
Cousineau, I thought, okay, he would still be there. And Sally, at first it was kind of ambiguous. I was not sure, but now I'm quite certain that she would still go to hell. Because I don't think she still... is not being accountable for her murders.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's dark, man. I actually kind of disagree.
Basically, she got away with murder.
Well, but it was self-defense until it wasn't. We saw the whole scene. Like it was it started off as self-defense. So maybe a manslaughter charge. But remember how Barry shot those two guys? Because one guy said, "You fuck my wife," and then they made up, and Barry's like, "No, this is not happening." It's like there's degrees to evil. But I felt like Barry and Fuches were at the top. Because Fuches chopped people's heads off, and I mean, I guess.
But I mean, with Fuches, I would say that was like evil. Well, it's like fighting evil with evil.
No, but like here's a bigger theme, though. I think all those purgatory scenes and Fuches, because remember those purgatory scenes is mixed up with Barry's memory of meeting Fuches. But Fuches decides to save John once NoHo Hank show him John's picture, and I felt like Fuches actor conveyed that it reminds him of Barry. So I think another theme is about whether evil can be passed down. Because Fuches kind of passed down his evil to Barry
that's true.
by manipulating and using him. He came back as a soldier, but he used that vulnerable position as like a semi-guardian to manipulate him. But I felt like I would give Fuches and Barry this credit. I felt like both of them acknowledged their own evil and tried their best not to give it to John. And the movie is kind of supposed to make us question whether their goal will like suffice.
Yeah.
Because John's smile at the end is kind of like, well, he clearly knows that the shootout is lie, but he smiles the smile of being kind of proud of his father. So I thought that was a funny and a dark ending because, like, so let's say your father is a soldier and a very, like, decorated one. So I'm worried that John might want to become a soldier. But the whole show has been telling us that the soldier nonsense is bullshit. Like, these soldiers are, like, remember in season 2 or 1, like, Gene Cousineau tries to say, what was it like? And those guys were like, yo, I just shot a sand monkey. And like none of the Braveheart, crap. Like, it's saying violence is basically almost evil in all its forms.
Yeah. And we also get that, we have another example of an ex-soldier. What's his name? Barry, the guy who was shot. Yeah, the Asian guy who was saved by Barry. He's now enforcing law, and I think he was doing a pretty good job. So there are ways that you can use that military experience for good. And it's not like they don't have a choice.
No, but I felt like that was that's a good point. I felt it was a commentary that I felt like that was a guy who turned his life around. Because remember, during his soldier, he also said some obscene things, like proud of taking the shot. But I felt like even the worst kind of people has some humanity in them. That's the thing. Because like Barry has some humanity in him when it comes to his son.
Yeah.
Because his prayers, I felt, was a little bit self-serving. If I do this, forgive me, God, okay? I'm off the hook. But John still became a priority for him at the end, I felt. And that's, I think, that's part of the show. Like, it's a dark show where it's basically saying, like, everybody is flawed. Everybody has ego, but they also have humanity. And it's up to their choices on deciding what to do to determine their fate. And I think it's a dark show, but it's a powerful show in that sense. And ending with John, I felt, was like, what choice would John make now? Because his mother didn't want to show him the movie. Because I think so. Like, that's why he has to go to a friend's house to watch it. And the title itself is interesting too. Mask Catcher. Like, it's about identity.
Yeah.
Like, what mask we decide to wear. And what would John wear?
Also, that's what theater is all about.
Right,
That's
exactly.
why we have those logos. I mean, the theater logos, we always have that smiling mask and the frowning mask.
Yeah. I think smarter people might analyze this better than us, but we're doing a surface level thing, touching on all the things that it makes us think about. But that was a good finale.
Yeah, and it gave us a lot to talk about. I like the fact that it was a bit ambiguous. I like the way it ended. I also gotta mention some of the editing style, like the way they directed the entire episode. You know, when Barry got that headshot and the screen just went black, I got a lot of Sopranos vibe from that. You know,
I mean, the violence is definitely more Coen Brother than Tarantino. Because Tarantino relishes in the violence. But I think Barry is always very good at, except the biker killing scene.
Yeah.
They're very good at toning down the violence. Not toning down, but making it like so instant. Like it's always a surprise.
Yeah, just like how it would actually feel in real life.
Sure. Yeah, that's a good. Like even the shootout was fucking fast. And that was why it was so terrifying though, that grenade stuff and all. Man. But the irony is Barry the super killer with all the guns like Rambo, like doesn't get to shoot a gun.
And also, I mean the series is making a satire on a lot of things, but the fact that he was still a wanted man. He's on the run. He's running away from law enforcement, and the fact that he could just walk into I don't know, what was it, a supermarket? Yeah. And just buy all those guns.
Yeah. They made that
and just walk out
during the seasons though.
Yeah, that's disturbing.
The gun culture thing. I mean, but the beauty of Barry is I think it defies definition. Like there's so much to like preen out of.
Yeah. And I think that's what made the past 4 seasons so great. And since it's comedy, it's supposed to be funny. And yes, there were a lot of comedic elements that made me laugh.
It's more of a comedic tragedy, I guess. Because I think season 4 was the darkest among like season.
Yeah.
Like, because remember season 2 that karate girl? And everything. Like this force of nature girl that pops out of nowhere. That's why I keep mentioning the Coen Brothers. Because Coen Brothers always have this character that comes out of nowhere, that kind of represents this like something more than human. But anyway, let's give a number grade to the finale and the entire series. How about that?
I would give the last episode like maybe 8.5 or 9.
I give it an 8.
8? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it did happen fast. And it was because it's nothing wrong with the finale. I just felt like it owed a lot to a lot of preceding shows. I mean, we mentioned The Sopranos. But I can mention the Coen Brothers, like the Fargo ending and everything. It's kind of like, but I give credit for having no loose ends, almost no loose ends. Like everybody has a finish to their arc. NoHo Hank's evolution as a crime lord ends. I mean, Fuches finds
Sally,
himself. Barry gets shot.
Barry, Gene Cousineau.
Yeah, almost all of them. And so I give it an 8. As a series, I give it a 9.5. Like this is just. I love how I know you love this. Every episode is just 30 minutes. It's boom, efficient. It's light yet deep, and Bill Hader is a genius.
Yeah, I mean, I loved his performance ever since like SNL.
Yeah.
Especially his impersonations of other celebrities.
Yeah.
But I could tell that he's very talented in not just, like impersonations or comedy, but also like serious acting and also screenwriting. Like, but his
his impromptu comedy, I think, saved the show. 'Cause there are a lot of times it becomes too heavy. But Barry's like, yeah, but I don't think God wants me to do that. that made me laugh out loud. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think God wants. I was like, the delivery was perfect. Like, it was like so funny.
Yeah, I think it's coming out of his like comedy experience.
Yeah. So there were a lot of places where like Bill Hader carried it. And that Fuches actor, he's wonderful in everything. He's a great character actor.
Yeah.
Like I love his speech about like Raven's flock, our modern day barbarians, and like his girlfriend and like his like new daughter.
They're like terrified.
Yeah,
They're still a lot of hidden gems.
A lot of great comedic moments.
Yeah, like when he's getting out of jail. That
with the guard. Oh man, thank you for creating this show, Bill Hader. We love everything you do. Like among your class of SNU graduates, like me personally, I can't speak for Won-Jin, but you're my favorite.
Yeah. I would also pick Bill Hader as my favorite.
Yeah.
Then it would be Fred Armisen. And then Andy Samberg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but Bill Hader as a creator, I think he elevated like comedy to a new level. Like, it's rare to get a comedy that's a tragedy, that's a commentary, that is entertaining and
also has satire,
like thoughtful. Like anyway, that's our 2 cents on Barry. We will definitely be watching it again in our leisure.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for tuning in. This has been Jojen Movie So Awesome. I was Joe.
I was Won-Jin.
We'll come back next week with another show review. We don't know which one yet, but we'll decide. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.